Coming up, Governor Burgum unveils a plan to slash state income taxes. Groundbreaking today for a new $400 million soybean processing plant near Casselton. And NDSU's new president is condemning comments reportedly made by students. Hello and welcome to the Nightly Review. I'm Tom Tucker. We begin with a look at tonight's headlines, then a one-on-one conversation with a North Dakota state senator pushing for school vouchers. Scott Meyer from Grand Forks will talk about how the recent vote by the Fargo School Board involving the Pledge of Allegiance is now providing extra motivation for him to push for school choice. But first tonight, Governor Doug Burgum has unveiled a new plan aimed at slashing individual income taxes in the state. The plan is described as the largest income tax relief package in state history.
Competition for workers, especially in the nation's heartland, is intensifying. We need every advantage we can get, and when we're trying to recruit people to not just visit North Dakota but move to North Dakota and work in North Dakota, having a low tax rate or eliminating taxes for the majority of our citizens is a great advantage that we can when we can eliminate that income tax.
Now, under the proposal, income tax would effectively be eliminated for individuals whose adjusted gross income is less than $55,000 a year, and for married couples whose gross income is less than $95,000 a year. Those with higher incomes would pay a flat tax of 1.5%, which compares with the current rates of roughly 2 to 3%. We're told state lawmakers will work with the governor's office to craft the legislation. Also today, Governor Burgum was among the elected officials and community leaders who turned out near Casselton for groundbreaking for the new soybean processing plant. Burgum touted the economic benefit to farmers from the new $400 million plant, which will be owned and operated by North Dakota soybean processors. The plant is expected to be fully operational by 2024 and should generate 50 to 60 jobs described as well-paying. North Dakota State University President Dr. David Cook is condemning comments described as racist and homophobic reportedly posted to Telegram by members of North Dakota Young Republicans, some of whom are students at NDSU. Cook sent a campus-wide email Tuesday with a video saying the comments don't reflect the values at NDSU. The messages were shared in a group chat. A Fargo man has been sentenced to 2.5 years behind bars on several gun charges. The sentence for 31-year-old Matthew Kraft was handed down in U.S. District Court. Officials say Kraft had a package he ordered intercepted by Customs and Border Protection officials with a box containing an illegal firearm silencer. As a result, a search warrant was carried out in his home in June 2021 and turned up several weapons, including short-barreled rifles, ghost guns, and more than 20 silencers. Fargo police continue their search for the person who put up a suspicious poster near the entrance to the headquarters for Fargo Public Schools. A person wearing a mask put up a large poster early Monday which read, "Better dead than red." Fargo Public Schools say the act was hateful and an attempt to instill fear. The school board recently reversed a decision to remove the Pledge of Allegiance from their regular agenda. The school year begins tomorrow. The Fargo Police Department is warning the public of a high-risk sex offender who has moved into the area. Authorities say 31-year-old Adam Jacob Anderson has registered his address at 1106 University Drive South in Fargo. Anderson was convicted in 2017 in Cass County for gross sexual imposition. His victim was a 25-year-old female acquaintance. He is now a lifetime registrant. Federal funding is set to be used to build an electric vehicle charging network over the next several years. The North Dakota Department of Transportation is being allocated $26 million under a new bill that sets aside money in every state to install electric vehicle charging stations. The state DOT plan calls for 18 charging stations to be spaced about 50 miles apart along I-94 and I-29. In Minnesota tonight, the Republican candidate for governor is defending the comparison he made between coronavirus policies in the state and Nazi Germany. In April, Dr. Scott Jensen said the Nazis took power, quote, little by little, and said he saw what he called a similar encroachment in the state's response to COVID-19. Yesterday, Jensen said he thinks his statement is a legitimate comparison and said he stands by the comments. A teachers union in Minneapolis is defending the policy that would see white teachers laid off first in the event that layoffs are required. The group Judicial Watch has filed a lawsuit asking a judge to suspend the policy, which went into effect last spring. The Minneapolis Federation of Teachers says the policy is aimed at keeping teachers of color in the classroom and brushed off the lawsuit as a, quote, far-right attack. And Minnesota is seeing fewer deadly crashes in 2022 compared to last year. The Minnesota State Patrol says nearly 270 people have been killed on Minnesota roadways so far this year. That compares to almost 300 who died by this same time period last year. However, MSP says death rates are still well above what they were prior to the arrival of COVID-19 in 2019. Authorities say excessive speed is the top factor in deadly crashes around the state. On a lighter note tonight, we're giving away 2 free rounds of golf at either Rose Creek or Edgewood in Fargo. All you have to do for a chance at winning the tickets is to be among the next 20 viewers to subscribe and hit the bell button below. We'll draw for the winner and announce the winner after we hit 160 subscribers. We appreciate your support for the Nightly Review. Cool and cloudy conditions dominated the weather picture across the FM Metro today. When will the sunshine return? Meteorologist Justin Storm has answers in the forecast from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Thanks, Tom. As we continue throughout this evening into tonight, partly to mostly cloudy conditions will continue across the area with wind out of the north around 10 to 20 miles per hour. But the wind will begin to lighten up tonight as clouds slowly decrease. We'll drop down to a low of 55 degrees, and mostly sunny skies will then return to the valley on Thursday. Temperatures will remain, though, only in the mid-70s with a north wind around 5 to 15. Mostly clear Thursday night, down to a low near 50, and we're back in the upper 70s on Friday. Another partly cloudy afternoon with light wind and a slight chance for some scattered showers and storms coming in overnight Friday into Saturday morning.
It could happen to you or someone you love. One moment, one diagnosis can change everything. Thankfully, there's a program that helps caring people uplift families through a crisis. Lend a Hand Up, raising financial help and hope through community benefits and online campaigns. A program that boosts generosity so gifts go further. Lend a Hand Up helps you help your neighbors. Learn more and give at lendahandup.org.
And welcome back. My guest for tonight's one-on-one conversation is a North Dakota state senator who is now talking about proposing legislation that would provide school vouchers for children in the state to help fund enrollment in private schools. Republican Scott Meyer represents District 18 in Grand Forks. He first spoke about how the recent controversy with the Fargo School Board and the Pledge of Allegiance prompted him to bring school choice into the conversation.
Yeah, so Tom, really what happened was I ended up making a comment on social media after I'd seen that motion go through and pass ultimately for the Fargo School District. And the reason I made my comment was it's just not aligning with North Dakota values. And I think you can sense that based on the blowback. By me putting that on social media and even the governor getting on board with this whole thing and perhaps putting a bill in, it really, like I said, put a spotlight on the issue. We have seen bills with school choice in the past. Last session, there was a bill that was defeated in the Senate that dealt with an income tax credit. We've seen other bills in the past that have dealt with a voucher, more or less to follow that student as they pick their route, okay? So I've seen those things. And like I said, it was just another issue with the school board that had really, like I said, didn't align with North Dakota values at Fargo. And then we've seen some things here in Grand Forks where all the lawmakers in the state of North Dakota received an email discussing a teacher that's retired and moved on because of the training that they were forced to go through that dealt with CRT. So again, we're digging into that more and more. And then the pandemic response with masking, social distancing, and some of the things that might be hurting our students going forward with their education. It just seems like the time is right to keep pursuing this, or at least keep having a discussion and seeing if there is a way for school choice to pass this next session.
I asked Meyer what it was that he posted to social media regarding the school board and the pledge issue.
Yeah, basically, I just repeated what they had done, saying that the Pledge of Allegiance doesn't align with the Fargo School District's diversity code, which even to me seems crazy that that would supersede the Pledge of Allegiance. So I was blown away by that. And then I just wrote one more sentence that said, we need the time to pass school choices now. So that's really all it was. But it really, I've received a lot of support, overwhelming support from other lawmakers across the state, a lot of constituents, even not just in my district, but all over. And just people saying, hey, again, we should really talk about this and look at opportunities to have school choice for our students.
While Meyer is not currently crafting legislation aimed at providing school vouchers, he did talk about what such a bill could look like.
Yeah, I think what right now I prefer to go with is a voucher, right? I look at this with the income tax credit. Maybe some families wouldn't qualify because maybe they aren't paying enough in income tax or not enough to get that credit back. So I look at maybe the voucher being the right approach. I could be changed, in committee if we have these discussions. And the other thing I always like to remind people is school choice isn't just for the affluent families. This allows other families to maybe get out of other areas where a school may be underperforming, and they've realized that with their children and said, hey, I want to take them over here and hopefully better their education. So right now, I haven't even drafted legislation with legislative council. I know there are some lawmakers that have already talked to legislative council on their own ideas. Perhaps we'll have to come together and put together the best policy possible, in one bill rather than 3-4 different ones. But again, I have been in communication with a handful of lawmakers, a couple of them have already put in these bills in the past, who have seen what worked, what didn't work, why it went up, why it went down, whatever, and we'll go from there.
The state senator says he believes school voucher legislation will be voted on during the next legislative session, which begins in January.
Yeah, I would 100% believe that a bill will be voted on. And again, in North Dakota legislature, every bill that gets introduced will get voted on at some point. Can't hold it in committee. So that will come on the floor if it's either a Senate bill or a House bill. The last few sessions, these bills have found their way out of the House. They've passed through the House and gotten into the Senate, and they've been defeated. Well, there's going to be, in both chambers, there's a lot of turnover. There's a lot of new faces. I think they're saying around 25% in both chambers. So I think what we'll see in the Senate side is it's going to be a more conservative chamber than it has been historically. So that's why I also feel like there may be a better chance of this passing now.
I'd like to thank North Dakota State Senator Scott Meyer from Grand Forks for joining me for tonight's one-on-one conversation. Meyer says there are many very good public schools and public school teachers in the state, but says in the long run, increased competition will lead to better educational outcomes. Well, that will do it for this Wednesday night, August 24th, 2022. I'm Tom Tucker. Thanks for watching the Nightly Review.